Hello everyone, this is King El Bay, and I want to go over should Moors argue the Constitution. So I want you to look at this and understand why I put this in there. Um, we're going to talk about public and private again, because I hear Moors say, hey, let's argue the Constitution. Let's argue these things on these grounds. And I want Moors to understand either we're private. You got three jurisdictions that I want you to think about. You got your local, then you have your state, and then you have your federal. Those are all three jurisdictions. And you can be a member of all three jurisdictions. And you have to understand what's going on, because everything is dealing with this term right here, contracts. And then I told you before, everything is about private property or property. And it's all about property rights. And trust is about asset protection. It's about securing those property rights. So we're going to get into this video. I'm trying to make these videos now 15 minutes. And I'm going to teach you to critically think about dealing with the law. And understanding that you have to know this inside and out. The only reason I'm able to show you guys what's going on about public and private, because I've been litigating for 11, 12 years. I understand this premise. I understand how to win cases. That's why when you get with us, over at Must, we know how to do things. We know how to set you up to win, not fail. We're going to help you understand what it is. Any Moors that's in this fight, I will support. This is not about picking a size or whatever. This is about having the real and true understanding on what we need to do. So let's go on. So let's go to due process again. We're going to talk about due process. Now, when you're looking at due process, it's the conduct of legal proceedings according to established rules and principles for the protection and enforcement of private rights, including notice and the right to a fair hearing before a tribunal with the power to decide the case. It tells you right here, private rights. Now, I'm telling you that the Constitution is on the public side of the fence. If you start arguing that, then you don't know what you're doing. You got to understand this information. So when you don't know how to secure your private property, you're going to have a problem. Let's move on. Let me see. I'm not ready for that yet. We're going to talk about privacy. This is why I keep trying to talk about is private persons and privacy. It says the condition or state of being free from public attention to intrusion into or interference with one's act or decision. Autonomy, privacy. Do you understand that? Autonomy, privacy. An individual right to control his or her personal activities or intimate personal decisions without the interference, observation, or intrusion. If the individual's interest in an activity or decision is fundamental, then the state must show a compelling public interest before the private interest can be overcome. Do you hear this? This coming straight out of Black's laws. Let's go down here to private tort. I'm showing you information of a private right to choose to determine whether, how, and to what extent information about oneself is communicated to others. Sensitive and confidential information. Now, on my other video, I talked about how to set up your trust and how to set up and use confidential agreement or private agreements. We're going to look at private rights of privacy, right of, privacy, and invasion of. Let's go down here to Private Act of 1974, an act that is relegates the government's creation, collections, use, and disseminations of records that can identify an individual by name as well as other personal information. See, this is the problem. We don't know how to contract. We don't know how to use our private rights to self-identify so that we can know how to protect our rights. Because you got to remember, rights are private property. I'm just going to continue to break this down. Private law, a federal or state statute that protects a person's private right to be left alone or restricts public access to personal information such as tax returns and medical records. Also termed Privacy Act. This is the area of legal studies dealing with a person's right to be left alone. So I'm a challenge, and this is what I'm trying to tell you about arguing the Constitution and arguing by not understanding what you need to do to ensure the integrity of the process if you're Moore. Most Moors are telling you to argue constitutionality, argue grounds on certain things, but I'm trying to tell you, you should be coming in as a private citizen, enforcing private rights and protecting those private rights, and those rights are protected in which they become civil rights. So you got to understand this information in its entirety. The only reason I know this is because I know how to litigate. Relating or belonging to private, to an individual as opposed to a public or the government. Not having shares that are freely available on the open market. I'm just going to private act, private actions, private agent, private annuity, private attorney general. I'm not going to get into that. Private banks. There's a lot of stuff that private contracts. This is what people need to see. Contracts. I'm just going through all of this so you can see how much privacy you need to understand how to contract and how to put yourself together. Let's move on. Let me go. Let me see here. I went here. Let me go here. Let's go here. Now, citizenship. A person who by either birth or naturalization is a member of a political community or an allegiance to the community and being entitled to all the civil rights and protections. So when you're setting up this stuff, you got to know what you're doing. Not gonna go through every technicality of this. Just showing you they're citizens by naturalization, federal citizens, natural born citizens, naturalized citizens, and then let's go down here to diversity. See, the diversity of jurisdiction. This is what Morris want to argue. For diversity of jurisdiction proposed. Look at what it says. A corporation that was incorporated within a state or has its principal place of business there. Diversity of jurisdiction. So You want to argue this, but I'm going to show you on grounds what you need to be doing. I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to show y'all guys. I'm going to skip this for now. We're going to go into this. Private right. A personal right as opposed to the right of the public or the state. Property right. A right to specific property, whether tangible or intangible. That ain't nothing but real or personal. You can put that in there. Look at public right. I'm just going to tell you, a right belonging to all citizens, vested and exercised by a public office or political entity. Look at this. So I just want you to understand that when dropping this information on them, dropping this information on y'all, I just want y'all to understand. I want y'all to understand what this is all about. I want y'all to understand this. So this is what it boils down to. Now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, people. Get down. Instruments. A written legal document that defines rights, duties, entitlements, liabilities, such as a contract, will, promissory notes, or share certificates. An instrument sent to embrace contracts, deeds, statutes, wills, orders in council, orders, warrants, schemes, letters, patents, rules, regulations, bylaws, whether written, whether in writing or in print, or partly in both. In fact, any written or printed document that may have to be interpreted by courts. Woo! Right there. I'm gonna take y'all down to instrumentality. Just look. If you got Black's Laws, look up instrument. Let's go here. Look up the instrumentality doctrine. King L Baby dropping some jewels on y'all. Show arguing. We ain't arguing private rights. We gotta argue this now. Instrumentality. A thing used to achieve an end or a purpose, a means or agency through which a function of another entity is accomplished, such as a branch of governing body. Y'all got to understand this, the instrumentality doctrine. Understand how to set up your entities using certain instruments. For example, the Social Security number is a government instrument. The state birth certificate is a government instrument. If you did not draft your own birth certificate and you allowed the state to contract with you without you putting in the terms and conditions of that contract, you just waived your rights. This is why you need to get with Must, and you need to understand what we're doing over here. We dropping this. I'm gonna drop this science on you so you will know. We gonna get into this. We're gonna get into that. Now we're gonna go into this. I just wanted to break that down to you. We ain't even going into this yet. I ain't gonna go into this yet. Let me see. Let me drop this. Private complaints. Let's go into arrest citations. Here we go once again. Private citizens. We're going to talk about a private citizen. A private citizen having knowledge of the facts who seeks to cause an arrest or prosecute under this section may file an affidavit charging the offense committed with reviewing officials for the purpose and reviewing the determination if a complaint should be filed by the prosecution attorney charged by law with prosecution of an offense in the court and before a magistrate. A private citizen may file an affidavit charging an offense committed with the clerk of court of records before or after the normal business hours of reviewing official if the clerk office is open at those times. A clerk who receives an affidavit or after the normal business hours of reviewing officials shall forward it to a reviewing official when reviewing the official normal business hours resume or resume. Normal business hours resume. I just want y'all to see this. Private, it don't say, it say private citizen. So you got to remember public and private. When you trying to understand this information, you got to understand this. Now I'm gonna keep it pushing. Let me drop some more science on y'all. Private, I talked about this. Private property shall ever be held inviolate, but subservient to the public. So they can't listen. They can't even violate your rights of private property. So if you're not a private citizen, and you can't, this is what I'm trying to tell you. You're trying to argue the Constitution, and the Constitution is for public citizens, for public persons. This is why you got to understand what you're doing when you're dealing with the court. I didn't see Moors lose their case, so many cases on 1983s, and losing their case on diversity of citizenship because they don't know how to contract. They don't know how to draft their complaint because it's based upon the contract. Contract. You got to know how to contract. Nor shall any interference with the rights of the conscience be permitted. When you talk about this, we're talking about private racial morality, private business affairs, private family affairs, private everything, right here. Let's go here again. The right of people to be secure in their person. This coming from the state. Houses, papers, possessions against unreasonable seizures and searches. Now let's go down to, let me just break this down. Let me show you this. While you arguing the Constitution, while you trying to become a public, or like I told you, there's three persons. On a local, you can be a local citizen, a state citizen, or federal citizen, or you could be a private citizen. You got to understand what's going on to protect your private rights. And I'm going to show you this. This ain't coming from me. This is the fourth. Look, we're going to go down to the Fourth Amendment. I'm going to start breaking all of this stuff down. I'm going to show you something. What did this say? The right of the people to be secure in their persons. That can be your, if you set up a family institution, a private institution, and if you know how to contract and create a public institution to do all of this correctly, you can get these protections. But if you don't know how to contract, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to run into problems. It says, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, and papers, and against unreasonable searches and seizures, and shall not be violated. Once again, we're talking about private rights. Private. Not public, got nothing to do with nothing. We're talking about private citizens. I just showed you in my state statute. Come on now. Now we're gonna get in this. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. But let me show you. Let's go into, no, let's go here. Let's go into, let me go here. Diversity of citizenship and amount of controversy. Let me show you this when you argue this. You got to understand this. This is talking about contracts. know you see this right here and you read this, but if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to contract, this is you, your private person, contracting with a public person, a private citizen, contracting with a public citizen, and they're interfering, the state is interfering with this because they don't have a right under this, under Article 10, under the contract clause. Ain't nobody showing you this. King L-Bay breaking it down for y'all. You talking about somebody who Trump, who understand this information. I'm not claiming to be nobody's guru. I'm just telling you, I'm boots on the ground. I've been in the boots on the ground too much. I'm telling you, this is about private property. Everything is about property. Will Shay still interested? No. Let's go here. It says right here. It says, no state shall enter into any treaty, but I want you to jump down here. No state shall enter into any law impairing the obligation of a contract. They can't even interfere if you know what you're doing. This is a violation of your civil rights. If they impair your obligation to a contract, you can come and do certain things, but this is about contracts. Let's go on up. Let me show you something else. Let me see. Had it all. I'm just gonna keep dropping this jewels. I'm trying to make this video short so people can pay attention to what King L-Bay bringing to the table. Full faith and credit. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. You see that? And Congress may, by law, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and affected thereof. Now, I did a last video. We got the Moors Universal Society of Tribes. You got to watch that channel and those videos. Go through and watch my videos. They're like 30 minutes long. But I talk about this. You have to conform to the law for your evidence, because I told you everything boils down to evidence on how you go about being in conform with how to perfect your records or your instruments where it can become evidence. Because everything is about perfecting claims. Everything is about how you perfect those claims to produce evidence and being in your private status. I'm gonna keep dropping these jewels on you. So diversity of citizenship has got to do with contracts. You can go in there, I can tell you this, you can go in there and argue with all you want about diversity, that you are more and that you're not subject. They're gonna throw that out. If you don't know what you're doing, they're gonna throw that out. So I make sure I know how to win. This is King L-Bay. I can tell you how to win. I told you can file a private complaint. But let's go here. Let me show you something different. We ain't gonna even talk about that yet. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. Okay, let's go here. Now, I showed you in the state court you can file a private complaint. You can do a writ of summons filing a private complaint. Once you understand how to use these writs under the All Writs Act, these are civil rights. If they deny you of those civil rights, you can come under civil rights. But we'll get into that. Show you how to drop this. How to drop this. This is state. This is not federal. This is state. This is the state Supreme Court. We're going to talk about an original action. An original action shall be instituted by filing a complaint. filing a private complaint. The covers the page of the complaint shall contain the nature. Remember, we're talking about nature of the proceeding and the name, title, address, and all that. So you gotta understand that you talking about private rights, you talking about private contracts. So when you talk about nature and cause, they gotta with a contract. With a contract, baby, with a contract. You gotta have your evidence, and this is what we do at Must. So I want you to take a look at this. The clerk of the Supreme Court shall issue a summons and a copy of the complaint by certified mail to the address of the respondent and indicate on the cover page of the complaint. The summons shall inform the respondent of the time permitted to respond to the complaint pursuant to these. These are the rules of the Supreme Court, baby. You don't listen. If you know what you're doing, you can file an original action with the Supreme Court. And when they violate your civil rights, that's when you come in and jump all over that. But you got to know how to come in on the federal side of everything, because they only deal with two things. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Let me drop this for you. We're going to go here. Federal courts have limited jurisdiction. This means they cannot hear all types of cases. They only hear two types of federal jurisdiction. One, a federal question, and diversity. I'm dropping this science on you real quick. I'm dropping this science on you real quick. Had to take a little pause real quick. Try to get this video over with. I'm just trying to drop this science on y'all, man, so y'all can see. Federal question. The district court shall have original jurisdiction of a civil action arising under the Constitution, laws, or treaties of the United States. So, I'm gonna show you really how you should come in when you're dealing with the court, when you understand. Now, we're going to talk about this real quick because this is very important. But let me talk about this before I go over that intrastate and interstate commerce. Conspiracy to interfere with civil rights. Now, I told you when the courts start denying you civil rights, you got to understand all this stuff dealing with contracts, private rights, and if they deny you the right to file claims dealing with private property that they might have possession of, you know what I'm saying, or they interfere with the right for you to be able to contract because they can't. They don't have no way to stop you from contracting. Those are civil rights. So you got to come under this. Civil rights. See? But first, you got to have evidence of the violation of the interfering with the civil rights. You got to know what you're doing when you're dealing with these courts. It's a lot of people. I'm just telling you, I've been through this too many times. You talk about somebody who got 12 years of experience of litigating, like who understand who's boots on the ground, who can drop this knowledge in the science. Ain't nobody bringing you this on the internet, because most people don't know how to file this stuff. Everything is dealing with evidence, and you got to know how to do this. And if you don't know how to do it, you're not gonna win. I'm telling you straight up. Now I'm gonna get into some more child support videos where I can show you how to break all that up and crush it. You talking to somebody who got a lot of experience at litigating. I'm nobody's guru, but I can tell you what I know. Let's talk about interstate and interstate and intrastate. See, this is two often confused ideas of interstate and intrastate commerce. The two difference between is quite simple. I'm just paraphrasing. Interstate commerce is trade, traffic, or transportation involving the crossing of state boundaries. To be considered interstate commerce, whether the vehicle is passing, its passengers or cargo must cross a state boundary, or there must be intent to cross a state boundary to be considered an interstate carrier. So let me break this down for you, make it real, kind of a little simple. Anytime it's something coming from another country into the states where the federal government got jurisdiction of it, either from some form of benefit, through negotiation, through trade, and through commerce, everything that's relating to federal has something to do with it. That's interstate commerce. Receiving a benefit from the state is interstate commerce. I want y'all to understand that. I want y'all to understand that. Now let's talk about intrastate. Intrastate commerce is trade, traffic, and transportation within the single state. So that's when you're doing business within the state. So you got to understand all of this stuff and how this works. But I just wanted to show you guys, should Moors be private citizens or should they be arguing Constitution? This is King L Bay dropping this knowledge on y'all. I just wanted to drop some of this knowledge on y'all to let y'all see, you know, how to get down in the court and how to go about developing your case. Everything I did, I showed y'all some stuff on the rules of evidence. Just want to let y'all know. Let me go to the Facebook page. Let me go to the Must Facebook page. Let me see, do I got the Facebook up? Let me do a new thing. Let me go here. I'm doing this. I'm ending the show. Trying to keep it. I'm not trying to keep it real long. For those who want to contact us, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Please contact us at 513-549-7270. Again, 513-549-7270. This is King L Bay. Check us out. Go to the Must site, the Moors Universal Society of Tribes. Check us out. Push it in. Hit me up, man. You got child support issues? Hit me up on Messenger. Hit me up. Give us a call. Like I said, I'm dropping jewels. I'm showing you how to get down in the court. I'm showing you how, if you really want to know how to appropriate this information. I said appropriate. How you should be coming in on the public side of things. How you should be coming in doing your private affairs. And what you should be doing and how you need to be thinking. You know, when you're a litigator like myself, you understand how to appropriate this information and how to make this information work for you. This is King L Bay. I'm out. Like I said before, please give us a call. We know how to do trust. We work with credit. We know how to set up entities. We know how to put privacy and confidentiality agreements together. We know how to put all these things in place. Be careful of latching yourself onto all these contracts dealing with the IRS, filing all these forms. Got to be real careful in what you're doing because you can waive your private rights. So this is King L Bay. Peace, love, and I'm out. Like I said, give us a call, 513-549-7270.